The Tuskegee Airmen. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself in a tight, cramped cockpit of a P-51 Mustang. After 9 o'clock, you look out and you see heavy bomber aircraft as far as your eyes can see. Ahead of you, after 12 o'clock, off in the distance, you see a shiny metal object. It appears to be a German enemy aircraft charging at you, ready to dogfight. At your right window, after 3 o'clock, you look up and you see more heavy bomber aircraft as far as your eyes can see. Boom, enemy flak explodes around you. You are a Tuskegee Airman. The men of the 332nd Fighter Group faced cruel injustices because of racial segregation and Jim Crow laws in World War II. Through all the hardship and disrespect, the Tuskegee Airmen prevailed and became one of the most decorated and respected flying units of World War II. In 1925, Army leaders were ordered to research how African Americans could be utilized in the United States military. The results of this National Army War College report were shocking. It was determined that, quote, the cranial cavity of the Negro is smaller than the white man. The Negro is mentally inferior to the white man. He's a rank coward in the dark, end quote. It was concluded that the African American man can only be trusted with the simplest task in the military. 15 years later, in 1939, Public Law 18 was passed. This law allowed African Americans to pursue aviation in the military. Only 2 years later, Chief Anderson, one of the first African American civilian pilots, won the support of Eleanor Roosevelt on a test flight. After a 1-hour solo flight with Chief Anderson, the First Lady rushed home to President Roosevelt to report on the superb aviation skills of the African American pilot she flew with. Despite the alleged inferiority of the African American man, over 2,000 men became pilots and ground support personnel. In 1943, the Tuskegee Airmen saw their first combat action in World War II. At first, these pilots were just tasked to eliminate submarine and go on train patrols. Over in Washington, D.C., however, high-ranking military officers did their best to eliminate the so-called Tuskegee experiment. But no. The Tuskegee Airmen willed and drive landed them a front-row seat into action in Europe. The current all-white bomber escort pilots had a knack for going for the glory. These pilots would follow German fighters away from the bomber aircraft they were tasked to protect. Moments after these pilots left, a lurking squadron of German enemy fighters would come out of the sky, out of the clouds, and demolish the unprotected bombers. Just days before, the Tuskegee Airmen were blowing up trains and vehicles. Now, they were tasked with protecting white men in heavy bomber aircraft. These same men hated them. Picture yourself as a young African-American captain in 1943. You go into the local bar and you're immediately tossed out because of your skin color. Yet these same people tossing you out the bar wanted you to bring them home to their families. Doesn't seem right, does it? Mission after mission, all bomber aircraft returned home. With continued success, the great Tuskegee Airmen became legends. These legends stood out by their bright red tail, more commonly known as the Red Tails. The impact of these brave men wasn't fully recognized until President Truman ordered the desegregation of the United States military in 1948. The great men of the 332nd Fighter Group set milestone after milestone. The Tuskegee Airmen are the only flying unit that can say they never lost a bomber aircraft to enemy aircraft fire. The Tuskegee Airmen flew over 15,000 combat sorties while destroying 261 German aircraft and 950 railcars, trucks, and other motor vehicles. Nearly 12,000 bomber aircraft were shot down in World War II. Never once was a friendly bomber brought down by enemy fire when the Red Tails protected them. Think about that, folks. Every husband came home to their wife. Every father came home to their sons and daughters. Not too bad for a group of men that were once labeled as mentally inferior to the white man. The Tuskegee Airmen were game changers. They broke down racial barriers in the military and inspired African American kids around the United States. Without these African American pioneers, today's military may still be segregated.